welcome back. I have not videoed in a few days, so I'm excited to share a little bit of progress with you. I had a nice weekend visit from my daughter and my son-in-law. They came down to see my parents and spent a little time with them. And I was able to do a few things that required heavy lifting. Number one, getting my batteries up on the new wheel well box. I switched them because this one has the cubby holes in it. They were on that side under the batteries, but I want that full space there for my electrical components. And I'm going to have a panel right here that fits in a channel that I've put in. And then I'll have some hinges on here to attach it. And that way I can take it out and work on it if I ever need to, or if I need to remove the battery box, anything like that. It's going to be modular. And since I changed out my water tank with one that was a little bit smaller just to make sure it would fit up here, this is 12 inches wide and my wheel well boxes are only 10, so I had to add a new platform. Made that and got that attached as well, and hopefully pretty soon I'll be hooking up my water. But today is bed day and I'm crossing my fingers that my plan for the bed is going to work. I originally was going to use the 𝘼𝙑 rails from IKEA, but they're almost 3 inches thick, 2 3/8 maybe. And to position them here, it would take up too much vertical space and it would interfere with both the batteries and the water container. And I also, Andy and I plan to put our bikes in here, and we need at least 32 inches of clearance for that before we put in a drawer. So the bed's got to be relatively high, but thankfully we're not tall people, and so headroom I think will be all right. I'm pretty sure we'll still be able to sit up in bed. So anyway, I'm going to be using the slats from IKEA, and I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it down below in the comments, but not the rails. Instead of the rails, I'm going to be using aluminum channel and some aluminum angle iron that's going to sit on top of a 2x4, and I don't have that cut yet. I'm going to cut that this morning, but it's going to attach here to the side. And I've put in some riv nuts. I had 3 and then I decided I'd be more comfortable with 5. I definitely don't want my bed falling down. So I'm going to put those in, and then the 2x4 rather than 2x6, because the 2x6 is too thick, and I'm confident that the 2x4 and the framing that I have will support us. I really hope it works. This whole project has been a lot of trial and error and just figuring things out as I go. I'm watching videos and following and getting tips from other people, so thank you all you YouTube people who've come before me, and then just trying to do it my way with all that input. So it's, like I said, trial and error. I'm learning as I go. This is not a how-to video, because God forbid you follow my instructions and they don't work out well, but I like to share what I'm doing and maybe give you some ideas for your own build. So anyway, let's get to it and I will show you what I'm doing today. So you put the tool in, push it against the hole, and then close it, start to close it. Open it up. All right, done. Measure and pre-drill. I have done a whole bunch of diagrams to try to figure out how to get the bed at the height that I want it to be, working with this funny little bump out here. My base of my bed I want to be at 32 inches, and this little plus nut right there, the center of that, is at 30 inches. My 2x4 is actually 3.5 inches high. So I need to calculate from 30 inches to 32 inches. That would mean my hole would be 2 inches down and 1.5 inches up. And then I also need to just measure out or trace the locations of all 5 of those plus nuts so that I can pre-drill the holes. And then I will have to clamp this up here and screw it on. So before I pre-drill the holes in my 2x4, I need to know exactly where the plus nuts are so I can mark them. And they are here underneath. And what I'm going to do, I know the height of them, and I've aligned my paper right at the edge here where my board is going to be aligned. And I'm going to go in with a pencil, and once I find each plus nut, I will just scribble on it to make a mark that I can use to drill. I've got the end one lined up, but for some reason the rest seem to be a little bit off, and I'm assuming it's because I didn't pre-drill 100% straight through the board. And since the board is a good 1.5 inches thick, that precision matters. I don't know if there's a jig or something to help make sure that those holes go in straight, but I'm going to take a lunch break, do a little bit of research on how I can improve that, and then come back and hopefully be able to get this board up. I don't know if you can see through my window, but there's a real contractor working over there. And DIY hack over here. I had to flip this piece of wood because I didn't have another one and re-drill using a little technique I found on YouTube that definitely helped, although I still have two that just don't quite want to line up with the plus nut. So I think for now I'm going to leave that and work on the other side and see how I do. But let me show you the little trick that I found. Forrest, what's the trick that I found? You don't know? Well, I made these little corner brackets that I thought would hold my wheel well boxes on, but as I started drilling into them, the wood was splitting, partly because the grain's running this way, which was my mistake. But on YouTube, I found a tip where you could use a right angle like this to help keep your drill bit upright. So this is how this works. You just use the little bracket to make sure your drill bit is lined up nice and perpendicular and drill your hole. The basic frame for the bed is up. I got 5 out of 5 on there with a little finagling, and on this side I could only get 4 out of 5. This one was pretty far off, and so I'd really have to like almost double that hole to make that one work. But 4 out of 5 I think is going to be pretty stable on this side. And then one other thing I need to do before I can put the aluminum angle on the top that I'm using is actually, let me get my magnet out of the way. I'm going to shim this little area here, and I'm going to do that actually with some cork that I have left over. It's 1/4 inch cork, and that'll serve as a little bit of insulation and sound deadening. So once I cut the cork, it'll just fit it right in there like that with a little bit of glue, and that'll keep everything together. And then the next step, like I said, is going to be putting on that right angle that I have to go up here, and that's where the bed slats will actually rest. I also just put my water tank up here for a quick little test fit. I do have the height that I need, but as you can see, it's off the edge just a little bit. I had kind of centered the bracket, or centered this platform on the wheel well box, but I'm going to shift it over just, you know, maybe this much, whatever that is, 1/2 inch or so, and then I'll put a support underneath here or some metal braces to make sure that the water tank is well supported. So just in case you're wondering, I can assure you that without a doubt, nothing in a van build goes as planned, unless you're an expert. And then I would bet even if you ask the experts who build a bunch of vans, they still run into problems. So I'm enjoying learning and I'm enjoying the process, but it's definitely taking longer than I expected because, you know, so many things, like I said earlier, are trial and error. And I'd say there's 75% error for, I don't know, how does that math work? Anyway, 75% error, 25% success right now, but hopefully things will get better as I learn more. And even though I say nothing works out as planned, sometimes the unexpected is a blessing, because I almost tossed these out in the garbage this morning and they were a lifesaver in terms of getting those boards on for the bed. So I'm glad that I saved my little mistakes. You never know when they might come in handy. Well, I am into bed day 2 and getting a little bit of a late start because, as you can see, there's a plumbing truck behind me. We had a little midnight fun with a water faucet that wouldn't shut off and finding the water to the house and all of those kind of things. So kind of a late night for my parents and I, but we got the plumber out here this morning and they're replacing some pipes and replacing a faucet and all that good stuff. And while they're doing that, I am out here working on cutting my metal. And I have never cut metal before, but I have got aluminum angle iron that I'm using for the sides of the bed and the rails. And I have measured it and marked it. I need to do a right angle on this one. And then I've got a sacrificial piece of wood here that the metal is sitting on to help it cut straight and not bend since it is kind of soft. I've got a blade on my saw that's relatively fine, that's appropriate for metal. And I am getting down to, this will be my 4th piece cut for the head and the side. And then I've also got some channel that I need to cut, and I'm hoping that my 3/8 inch plywood will fit in that channel. So I'll show you that in just a little bit. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get these cut and then dry fit them in the van and see how that works out. Okay, so I have my metal pieces cut. I've got 1 inch square aluminum angle a 1.5 inch square aluminum angle. The 1.5 is going to go on the sides, and the 1 inch is going to go across to support the mattress, because we're going to be able to lift it from either side and turn it into a sofa, assuming all goes well. So this piece will sit here, and I did cut my board. I need 55 inches for my mattress, actually 54. I cut my board here to 57 just to be safe. I'd rather have too much than too little. So I may end up coming back and trimming that done, but I'm gonna wait and see till I'm ready to get all my framing in. But right now I'm lining up the edge of this piece with the end of the bed here and pushing that up against the wall. And I think I'm gonna be just a hair, I guess, shy of my 75-inch wide target. All right, I just checked that measurement across the back of the door from side to side, and that's exactly 74 inches inside the angle iron. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with that and pray that my foam mattress will smush by an inch, because it's the kind of mattress that you don't wanna cut it open or take open the foam cover, because it's got fiberglass in there, and unfortunately that fiberglass is a less expensive fire retardant than some other materials, and that's why these mattresses are so inexpensive. So that's I'm not gonna lose fiberglass in my van by any means, but keeping it sealed up in the mattress cover is just fine. So that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it for now anyway. It took a few tries to get the exact right measurement here, because even though I measured at 74, it was coming up a little long. So I took a little bit off down there at the end. And I've got it all dry fit together here, so you can see where I've got the wider piece and then the narrower. I just didn't want it quite as tall because I didn't want to be banging my feet, or excuse me, my legs on it when I sit on the edge of the bed. So that fits. Next step is going to be trimming the channel for the bed slats and attaching all this so that I actually have a bed that I can lay in. Here is the bed plan. I've got these rails on either, these will be the side. So that's the head of the bed right there and the foot. And on the side, this angle iron right here, that's I think 1 inch thick, but you can see when I push on it, how it kind of flexes. And then this piece, the channel, will cap the ends of the slats and it'll fit in here. So these pieces will still be together, but they're still flexing a lot, and they're not nailed down, but still it's flexing a lot more than I thought that it would. In the middle there'll be channels, because there's two sets of slats, a slat set here and a slat here. They'll each have channels to cap the ends, and then there'll be a hinge right there so we can lift it up. And then on the back, this side will mirror what's in the front. So my concern is that this is going to be too bouncy and not hold our weight. I am up to bed day 3. It's a little bit like Groundhog Day, only slightly different every day. And I am going to go ahead and put my bed together, even though I'm a little bit concerned about the tensile strength of the aluminum. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach these pieces to the wood. I'm going to take the slats inside, I'm going to insert them in the rails and attach them, and then I can bring them back out and fit them here into the bed area. As with any day, it is subject to change, and I am planning to leave here about 3:30 or so to go meet my sister and her husband to camp, which should be a delightful little break from van building. So just a quick overnight for me, but I think I need the break. And Chris is an engineer, which is a bonus because I can ask him about the bed if I get it pretty much assembled and get his 2 cents on what else I might need to do to shore up the support on it. So I'm going to get to work and hope for the best. Cross those fingers. While I'm getting ready to take this wood down and remembering how much trouble I had like this going into the plus nuts, I had to flip the board and re-drill. It occurred to me that I probably should have started drilling my holes on the rear And then if they come out slightly askance on the front, it wouldn't matter because they'd line up with the plus nut on the inside, but I guess that's a live and learn moment. Okay, I've gotten this far with the bed. I lost a little insulation in the process because I was getting caught on it as I was putting in the 2 panels. In this space here, I will have a hinge so that we can lift up and have a view into the van or out in the scenery. And it's still very, very flexible. So I've got it strapped together. And right now my parents are on their way to give me their thoughts, which is kind of cool. Okay, the parents approve. Although they did say, I hope you're not sleeping on that tonight because it's a little unstable still. Hopefully Chris can help me figure out the best way to stabilize it so it makes a nice comfy bed. I'm gonna be sleeping in my van tonight. It's gonna be first night in the van. And even though it's nowhere near done, it's gonna be pretty awesome to sleep in here. And then when I get back, Andy's coming down a couple days and we have a week together, and I hope that we can start putting some what do you call that? Siding on the walls. I know I've got a little bit more insulation to put up. Some has actually kind of fallen off as I've been working. But yeah, I hope before we go back to Atlanta, we will have walls. And it's not done, but yeah, progress is awesome. And it's so exciting just to see a bed and see the layout kind of starting to take shape. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for your support. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you do like and you do want to subscribe. I'd love to have you with me for this journey. And I'll see you next time.